Off threading our machine, we always want to put our thread on the spool pin, which is right here. Right, and we have a stopper that comes with the machine, and it prevents the thread from moving back and forth. So we just slide it on.
Beautiful.
Right, now we're ready to start threading the machine. So as you look on your machine, you're gonna see that your machine is gonna be numbered, right? So there's two sets of instructions on your machine. There's one that has a dotted line, as you can see, and there's one that has a solid line. Don't get confused with the two. The dotted line is for when we want to thread our bobbin, and this is our bobbin. Typically it comes empty, and we put thread on it through these instructions here. The instructions that we're going to follow now is the solid line instructions, and that's how we thread the actual machine. And these are our thread guides. As you can see, they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm gonna go through my step 1. You're gonna hear like a little click. I'm gonna go through my step 2. I'm gonna come down. This is my step 3. My 4 is telling me to come all the way back up to step 5. At step 5, we want to turn our hand wheel towards us, so this way. And it's gonna come all the way up. And this little guy is called our thread take-up lever. Alright, not all machines that they will come up. Some machines, the thread take-up lever is all the way down here. This machine, it comes all the way up, and essentially we want to go from right to left around and making sure that it's inside that little hole right here. Okay. Next, we come straight back down, and we're at step 6. There's a little hole back here. We want to go behind it right here, and then next we have this little slit that's right above the needle. Okay. The easiest way to thread this part is if we hold the thread like an L, and we stick this straight part of the L inside the slit and bring our finger forward and release. We want the thread to come down in like a straight line. So the next step we have is threading our needle. We always want to put our presser foot down and bring up our needle to its highest position. This allows you to have more space to thread the needle. You can also use a white piece of paper behind the needle hole. If you can't see it, you can see the hole much clearly when you have it right behind the needle. And the thread just goes front to back. It's always good to hold your thread really close to the tip, because if you hold it down here, it wiggles a lot. So if you hold it really tight, okay, to the tip, you have more control over the thread. And we just stick this in. Right? And then we grab it from the back here. Pull. And as I said, you always want to see your thread come straight down, not wrap. When we put in our bobbin, we always want to put the bobbin in P shape. So if we look at it, if we're writing a P, this is what it'll look like this. And then we drop it in. Right. On your machine, you're gonna see like a little slit right here. Kind of hard to see, but we want to place the thread underneath this little metal piece coming this way. We want to make sure it's underneath, and then we just want to release and drop the bobbin thread. We want to next grab our top thread, which is coming from here, and what we want to do is bring our bobbin thread up to the surface. And what I mean by that is that there's a little hole underneath our presser foot right here. We want our bobbin thread to come up through this hole. So how to do that is we're going to turn our hand wheel again. Remember, we're going to turn it towards us always, and I want to go slow. What I'm watching for is my top thread is going to come around and kind of grab the bobbin thread up. So I want to keep turning till I don't see it anymore, and then I can pull this up. I pulled it up like this, and I see that my bobbin thread has come through the hole here in a loop, and I just grab it and pull up the rest of the thread. And now we have our bobbin thread is come up through the hole right here. Next, we want to place our threads underneath the presser foot and towards the back. We never want to see our top thread on top of our presser foot like this. Always want to place it under, towards the back. this prevents your threads from getting tangled while you're sewing. And then you always want to put your cover back on. And hear a little click. Now, as we're getting ready to sew, we want to first make sure that all of our settings are correct. So our first dial right here is our tension. Our tension will always be on 4. That's the standard manufacturing setting for machines. The next one is our needle position. Not all machines have needle position, but this machine does. And needle position is essentially just where our needle is positioned. So as you can see in this diagram, the dot is placed in the middle. That dot represents our needle. So as if I change it, it goes all the way to the left. You can see it here. Middle, right. The middle is just standard that we typically do. The next one is our width. Our width is how wide our stitch is, right? For a straight stitch, you remember we're not moving side to side, we're moving up and down, so we don't need a width, so we just keep it on 0. Our next one is our stitch length. Our stitch length is essentially how long our stitch is, right? So our standard stitch length for straight stitches are going to be a 3. And then this is our stitches dial. So as we change, it changes the stitch. And we want to do straight, so we just put it on the straight stitch here. Right here is our reverse lever. On every machine is positioned differently, but just look for this symbol, and that's our reverse lever. And the way we use this is we hold it down and in order to use it, and then once we let go, it goes back to its original function. So when we're getting ready to sew, we want to make sure that our presser foot is up with our presser foot lever, which is back here. Some machines will be on the side, this machine's on the back. And we want to place the fabric underneath the presser foot, and then we want to put the presser foot down. Okay. We always need to have the presser foot down or else it won't sew properly. And then we want to hit the pedal. With the pedal, it's always good to have your foot like this instead of like this, because we have more control over speed when our foot is like this. So after I'm done sewing here, you see, I want to lift up my presser foot and I want to lift up my needle, and then I'm going to pull to the side. And there's a cutter on the side of your machine, and you can just cut like this. Okay? And as you can see, this is how your stitch is supposed to look. And you can see your top stitch is on the top, and your bobbin is your bottom stitch on the back of the fabric.